All right, ladies and gentlemen, this is my 2024 games of the year. Top 24 games of 2024. See the numbers like line up perfectly. So, yeah, I played a lot of video games this year, so we got some stuff to go over and stuff. So, without further ado, I should first probably explain how I rank these games. Um, So, as you can see, these are the criteria that I have decided to rank the games on and grade them on. So, we have graphics, story, gameplay, replayability, freshness, difficulty, and soundtrack. Right above where you see the criteria, you can see the weight that I given it. So each of these scores, that's how much they weight towards the final score, the overall grade. So here's Black 2, Pokemon Black 2 as an example. And the scores I gave it. So graphics, that could be like art style, how easy things are to identify. Like, sometimes you'll just be running around in a game, like, I don't know where I'm supposed to go. And then you'll like see something that you didn't even know you had to pay attention to. Like, oh, okay. Um, Story, that's pretty self-explanatory. Gameplay, that's just you like, physically playing the game. Gameplay can look very different depending on the genre. Replayability, that's just how much you pick up the game. Is it a one and done, or is it a game you put like a lot of hours into, or you play a lot? So freshness is the least important score. Basically, how much like unique stuff does this game have to offer? I do not give games points for being revolutionary to their time because I'm playing them in 2024. I don't care if like game X was super good in 2003 because it may suck now. So yeah, it doesn't make it any better. And I do have music looping on in the background, so yeah, there we go. Trying to get all of the senses quenched here. Difficulty, same thing, pretty self-explanatory. If the game is like not challenging, then it's a 1. Oh, I forgot to mention, 1's the worst score, 5's the best score. If the game's not challenging, it's super easy, it's a 1. Same thing if it's super hard, but if it's just right, then it's at a 5, enough to challenge you, but not too much to make you want to rage quit. Soundtrack can be lumped in with sound design and voice acting. So, yeah, that's all pretty self-explanatory. Anyway, let's get into it. My 24th game of the year. And these are games that I have finished and completed for the most part. Maybe I didn't 100% them, but I have a good idea of how to rank them. So, a lot of games that I picked up for like 15 minutes to put down, they're not on this. Now, without further ado, boom! Post Void at number 24. I really hope that music's not too loud, although my thing says it's not too loud, so it's good. This game was like $2 on Steam when it went on sale, and it's like this interesting shooter. It's got like a cool art style, but there are points where I was just like, I don't know what I'm looking at. The game has really no story. The gameplay is kind of fun, but it's kind of bullshit at times. You'll just randomly die, and um, it's a shooter, I should mention. It's like a shooter where you walk through these levels, and at the end there's a portal, and then you go to the next level. And in between levels, there's an upgrade. It's kind of like Hades if you play that, but it's a shooter. Um, and some of the upgrades are cool, but sometimes you die and you reset, and the run's only like 7 minutes, so you really don't get to. I don't know. I didn't like the length of it. That's why the replayability is also down. It had some new and unique aspects with specifically the art design, but not enough to make up for the game kind of not being that good. Like, the difficulty was way too hard. Like, I'd feel like I was on top of my game, but if I just made like one slip, the run was over. And it always feels like it's over before you can really even get started, which is annoying. And the soundtrack was just this song, like over and over again, which is not a bad song, but listening to it, it makes you feel like you're going crazy when you restart constantly. So anyway, Post Void is number 24. Click Holding comes in at number 23. Um, Now if you're catching up on the wordplay here, you'll kind of realize what this is a reference to. This is a really weird game. The only redeemable thing is its story and the graphics. It has like a decent atmosphere, but like really, you are pressing mouse 1 to click, and the dude is being really weird, and It's something, you know, like I would never play it again. It was a game that you can buy, beat it in under 2 hours, and then return on Steam, which will be a recurring theme. I do that a lot, but yeah, not really my cup of tea, and not really much to say on it. I mean, like it's kind of like it's like a fun one and done thing, maybe if you're just like if you have like an hour to kill or whatever, you can get this game and return it. Depends on what your cup of tea is. Anyway, that's my number 23. Next game, Zoo Tycoon, the original from 2001. Wow, I have a lot of nostalgia for this game, but playing it recently, I was kind of like, and this is kind of underwhelming. Um, you know, it's fun and all, but it's not really my type. I'm more of a roller coaster tycoon guy now that I've done all this, but it was fun to get that kind of nostalgia hit. Um, and frankly, it's better than Planet Zoo. I'll say that. Planet Zoo was kind of disappointing for me, but that's not on this list. So, number 22 is Zoo Tycoon. Number 21, I'm thinking, oh, whoa, this is kind of far down there for Half-Life, but let me tell you, dude, this game, it's not that good playing it nowadays. Like, I had fun with it at times, um, but like, you know, the graphics don't really hold up. I mean, the graphics were okay. They were definitely subpar. I didn't feel comfortable giving it a 3. The story was nice. The story was great. I definitely felt like a badass with the story. The gameplay, I mean, this ties into the difficulty, but like there were just times where I was just like I was really struggling. Like there was a part where I had to do parkour with an electric fence and a bunch of head crabs because I ran out of bullets. I essentially soft locked myself. So I had to do this super convoluted and difficult way of beating this part of the game, and it just ended up it was just annoying. I think I played on too high of a difficulty, I'll be honest. I think I did the hardest difficulty, and then I immediately regretted it. But I finished it. I played it out, so good for me, I guess. One thing that I did think was cool was the whole game is just one continuous level. There are like times, like loading times in between, but for the most part, you just keep going and has a lot of interesting, fun, like early 2000s nostalgia. So, anyway, that's my number 21 is the first Half-Life. Number 20, How Fish is Made. This game is like maybe not even an hour long. It's free on Steam. It's by the person who made Mouthwashing, if you've seen anything about that game, but it's just kind of like a weird little game. I don't really know how else to describe it. The story's fun. I mean, I played it once. I probably won't play it again, but you know, it's a good kind of like I don't even know if I want to call it like psychological horror, but it's one of the games I played. I mean, I'd recommend it if you same thing with Click Holding if you got like an hour to kill. So anyway, that's my number 20 is How Fishing is Made. My number 19, Super Mega Baseball 4. As you can hear from the music, this game's freaking epic. Yeah, you know, I mean, it was very fun. I played this with one of my friends a lot, and it was just kind of fun game to play. I don't really know. It's a baseball game. You know, it's cartoony. It's got a lot of fun players and content creators. I didn't really grind any of the other modes besides the multiplayer. There's some kind of BS aspects of it, but I really like the way that you adjust the difficulty. It's called Ego. And 2 different players. So my friend was better than me, so he played at a higher ego to make the game more difficult for him. And I could play at a lower ego, which was nice because it could help us even out the skill, even though he was like much better. So not really much to say about this game. But you know, it was fun. If you like baseball, I mean, yeah. And it's got this epic soundtrack. Speaking of epic soundtracks, Dusk. This game got a lot of hype, and I think I have like 3 games from this dude on the list. This was probably my least favorite game. That I've played of this dude. It's a New Blood game, so it is fun. I think this is one that I need to go back and play again. I might have played it too high of a difficulty, kind of like Half-Life 1, where I'm not a good enough gamer to do that again. But the story kind of fell all over the place at times. The graphics were pretty nice at some parts, but then also at some parts I was like, nah, it's like isn't really that good. It's like average. The gameplay felt fun at times and also just really annoying at other times. I don't know. It's just kind of like an average game except for the soundtrack, I'll be honest. It was like, I think it took me like 9 hours to beat it, though. So that's a long game. Probably just also a bit of a skill issue from me, but, you know, I mean, it's got Wendigos in it, so that's neat. But anyway, yeah, Dusk is my number 18 game of the year. And at number 17, I got Hyper Demon. This is like, I say now we're starting to transition to games that I kind of like more than I dislike. That probably happened a bit earlier, but this game is like, it probably is the weirdest art style I've ever played. It felt like I was tripping on acid the whole time. And if you don't know, if you want to see what I mean, just like look up some gameplay of it. It's really weird. There's no real story to it. There's like some hints at a story, so I gave it a 2 because it kind of builds a bit of intrigue, but really there's nothing. Gameplay, you're just lasting as long as you can. There's enemies that spawn around you, and every time you kill an enemy, it grants you more time to stay alive, and once the time runs out, you're done, or if you die. So it's decently replayable, and there are like some runs where I feel like I'm going super far, and it feels great. But yeah, the goal isn't to last long. The goal is to build up your time bank as high as possible. So they really reward people. Oh, this music. They really reward people who can skillfully defeat the enemies because there are ways to kill them that give you more time and ways to kill them that don't give you as much time. So overall, I'd say this is a nice and fresh experience. I mean, it's a fun acid trip, and I think it was like $5 or something like that. So yeah, not bad. Number 17. This game I liked, but I was also disappointed with. The music. The music in this game is so corny, and so is the story, really. They're just, I mean, it was fun. It was kind of easy. That's probably why it gets a 3 in the difficulty. It was not hard to beat. It's a shooter. It's kind of like a first-person, like, Hotline Miami. But, you know, honestly, I wouldn't recommend it. It was also like 20 bucks. Some of it's fun, but really, I don't know. It was just too easy. It came from a developer I really like, so I got it, but I think I'd get it again if I could. But yeah, like, if the music and the story was a little less cringy, probably could have been better. Maybe if it also had a bit more to offer, but it was decently fresh. That's why it gets like a 3. Anyway, number 15, Buckshot Roulette. This game is genuinely pretty good. I don't rate it super high because I kind of felt like, you know, I felt like once you played it a few times, you just kind of had it. And it had a good balance of like luck and trying to figure out like probabilities in your head. But and you know, like, the story was intriguing, and the demon that you like are against kind of adds a bit of intrigue to it as well. So yeah, nothing crazy, but just a solid game. And it's like $4 or something like that. I don't know. It's super cheap. So, you know, I'd recommend it. It's a neat little game, a cute little game. Next we got oh shoot, I actually played the next song. This is Out of the Park Baseball 25. I think I sank probably the most time into this game out of all the games I've played here. Maybe besides Fallout New Vegas. That's a spoiler, but on this whole list, this is definitely the most I've played out of any of the games. This game is my autism game. I'll say that. It is just like, if you are a fan of baseball, but no, not a fan. If you're an Omega nerd about baseball and you care about things like the Rule 5 draft, waiver wire claims, just like the really granular stuff, like hiring a hitting coach for your single A team. I mean, like, it gets down to all the details of being a GM in baseball. And the actual managerial part is fine. The reason there's no music playing right now, by the way, is because this game actually has no music. That's why the soundtrack is at a 1. There's literally no sound. Besides, sometimes you click something and it makes a noise. And when you're in the managerial part and the game's going, there's actually baseball noises, but it's not good. It's like the most of the time you're playing this, it's gonna be dead silent. So probably want to put on some music in the background. And the graphics is just like the UI, but sometimes the UI is it's such a steep learning curve to figure out where you're going. Um, but like, and the story kind of makes itself. It's a baseball simulation, so the story will be like, oh, this team was simulated to lose like 100 or projected to lose 100 games, but then they like make it to the playoffs like throughout like these crazy odds. So that's like neat. That adds like some layers to a story. And I see like the gameplay, replayability, freshness, and difficulty. Those are all perfect. I have nothing to complain about that. If you want to pretend you're a baseball GM, this is literally the perfect game. Besides, maybe like, I mean, if you just want to be a baseball GM, you don't really care about soundtrack or graphics anyway. So, yeah. Anyway, 13, we got content warning. If I had made one of these videos last year, Lethal Company would have been like near the top. For games I played, content warning is just like Lethal Company, except I'm just laughing way more. I have at least like 3 memories, like crying laughing from this game, playing with friends. I mean, if you know Lethal Company, it's the same thing like that, but except you go to these monsters and try to like film viral videos, and at the end you see the videos you made, and it's just a great time, you know. I don't really feel like I need to go too far in depth in this one. If you know what content warning is, you know what it's about. There's nothing crazy, so. So, these 2 games are both by the same dude. He also made Dusk. I gave them very similar scores. I gave a slight edge to Squirrel Stapler. They're both like horror games that you can beat in like an hour and a half. So if you're just looking for like a free horror experience one night, just buy one of these games, beat it, and then return it. There's really not a lot of replay value with these. That's why they're at like 2. I could see me wanting to play it later, so I gave it a higher score. But Squirrel Stapler, I gave it the edge over Iron Lung. It was a bit scarier, in my opinion. Iron Lung is a very good game though too. Like highly recommend both these games. And this is some of the sounds from Squirrel Stapler. So yeah, very fun experience. They both like I think both of these actively made me scream, like at least once. um, but yeah, they're basically free games, so check them out. You know they're good. All right, enough of this sound. All right, now we're in the top 10. This is kind of like a tier break where these are games that like I would recommend to people a bit harder. Like I think these are like very good experiences that like I don't know exactly how to differentiate it from the bottom ones. The bottom ones I'm probably going to play once and then be done. These I'm going to look into playing a second time. Like I'm putting 10 plus hours into these games. And there's an exception with Out of the Park Baseball because I put like a lot of hours into that game, but this game, Undertale, I went into it thinking it was just going to be some band kid cringe, but you know, that was kind of closed-minded to me because the game was pretty good. Overall, like I don't really have a lot to complain about. My run was honestly it felt easy. Like I only had trouble with a few bosses. I think it was the robot, Asgore, and the lady with the spear. But Undyne, that's it. But other than that, it's pretty easy. Oh, and I should mention, this game has, like, maybe the best... Nah, it's not the best soundtrack on this list, but perfect soundtrack. It's beautiful. Like, we're listening to it right now. I love it. Makes the game really worth it. Boss music just has some great stuff. The story is a little... like, I liked it, but it was also, like, eh. It was just kind of like a whole, like, oh, love will prevail type thing that we've all heard multiple times. The gameplay was honestly pretty phenomenal. If each of the boss fights weren't, or not the boss fights, like fighting the minions or the people in between the boss fights wasn't pretty much all the same, I would probably give it better. But really, each boss fight was a unique experience. And like brought aspects from a bunch of these different genres that was really cool. This game is very replayable. There's a bunch of different ways you complete it, whether you want to do genocide or like a pacifist run. And you know, it introduced a lot of new concepts. My only real critique of this game is that it was just kind of easy at some parts. But you know, I didn't try to do any of the super hard runs, so yeah. Anyway, that's number 10. Number 9, we got Half-Life 2. Now this is how you make a Half-Life game great. This one was a lot better than Half-Life 1 for sure. I mean, the story and the graphics, there was a lot more dialogue, which was really cool. I kind of wish it was one continuous level like Half-Life 1 was, but I understand why they didn't do that. It has a humongous cliffhanger at the end, which I get why people now really want Half-Life 3, because now I want Half-Life 3, because this game was awesome. I definitely want to play it again. It's like, it took me like 9 hours or something to beat, and overall I can't complain, and yeah. So, next game, we have Faith the Unholy Trinity. This is a horror game, kind of designed like a retro classic game you'd play in an arcade. Best horror game I've played ever, for sure. It's only number 8, but I love this game. It's like maybe 5 hours of like from story like front to back. But after like trying to get all the achievements and exploring all the endings, I had like 23 hours on this game. And for a horror game, that's crazy. The story is so in-depth and awesome. Like, easy 5 for me there. The difficulty was perfect as well. Really, like, the parts that were hard were supposed to be hard, and the parts that were just supposed to be tense were tense. It never felt, like, annoying to beat this game, which was great. Because, like, really, when you play a horror game, when it's hard, you're not really as scared. When it's just right, you can be scared and still feel the effects that the gameplay, that you're still like actively engaging in it. There's a fine line between a horror movie and a horror game that like gameplay and difficulty like try to straddle. So the soundtrack and sound design is amazing. The graphics slide a 4. I thought about giving it a 5, but really when you look at what you're seeing most of the time in the game, it's just kind of a retro pixely game that doesn't look all that great. But the rotoscoping cutscenes are what drew me to it. So, oh shoot, spoiler, because that song ended. The rotoscoping drew me into it because I saw it. I was like, man, I'll play it. And then I saw that Wendigoon had a video on it. If you don't know anything about this game, please go and play it blind, beat it, watch Wendigoon's video, and then play it some more. That's what I did, and I think that's the correct way to do all of it. But yeah, oh, and the gameplay, the only reason it got a 3 was just, it's like, you really move, and you hold up your cross, and that's about it. I could probably bring it higher because, oh, there's like someone howling in my apartment, that's scary. I could probably give it higher because the gameplay really, like, walks you along the story very well, and the boss fights are unique, so, you know, very good. I recommend this game super highly if you like horror. Anyway, I got a little spoiler for this one earlier, but Hotline Miami is number 7. I have no complaints for this game. Like everything is just like, as you can see, I rated it like above average to really good. The game was hard, but like it was, when you die in the game, you are instantly reset to the back of the level, so you can just keep. It's like slamming your head into a brick wall, but your face is also full of bricks, so you can eventually break it. So I love it. I mean, like, amazing soundtrack. You're listening to it here. I mean, like, I'll listen to this soundtrack at work. I mean, I do for a lot of video games, but I mean, it's just great. The story is mysterious too. Like, you just get different elements of stuff, and just walking back through each level after you complete it and just seeing all that you've done is just, oh, it's perfect every time, and I love that choice that they made. So yeah, that is Hotline Miami. Number 6 is Animal Well. Animal was made by one dude who did everything. Um, he made his own engine for this game, and everything that could have went well did for him. I think I really like. Actually, have no complaints about this game. It is a Metroidvania, kind of like puzzle solver game with just this the best atmosphere and aesthetic out of all the games on this list by far. Um, the art style is just so beautiful, and the soundtrack plays with it so perfectly. Like it really just feels like you're in this sort of like underground terrarium that like has some kind of like cosmic um this cosmic feel to it, and I I don't know. I love this game. I've beaten it multiple times. The story doesn't really it doesn't the story isn't super easy to like parse out. Like it's not obvious why you're here, what you're doing, but you you walk along and you get just like this feeling of that you are so insignificant, and um uh, there are certainly some interactions with some of the animals that give you some sort of idea of your role in like this ecosystem. Um, the gameplay, it's really just a platformer, but you slowly unlock these tools that bring more utility to your character. Um, I don't know. I've never played anything like it. The difficulty is perfect, although there were some parts where I was just kind of like, eh. Like it was either too easy or sometimes like some of like the secrets to find. I was just like, how would I ever know without like Googling? um, or like I would just find them by accident. Parts like that are a little annoying, but on that, I have no other complaints about this game. So yes, number 6 is Animal Well. Number 5 is Cruelty Squad. Um, yeah, this is like probably the weirdest game on this list. Um, just if you want to know why, just look up like some gameplay of it. I mean, this game, it has the feel of someone who works super hard on like making this masterpiece with like the gameplay and spending so much time writing a good story with it, and then he spent equally as much time making the game look like garbage and making it look like it's some kind of weird psychedelic trip. um Never seen an art style like it. I would rate the art style a 5 if it didn't give me a headache to look at sometimes. Um, the story is insane and I love it. I still don't even completely understand it, but I love learning about it, so that kind of evens out. Gameplay is perfect. And the only thing I do complain about is sometimes it's a little too difficult. Um, but like honestly, when I first got this game, I almost like returned it because I was like, I can't play it. This is like too hard. But I eventually figured it out. Just has a steep like learning curve with the movement of the enemies. And the soundtrack would have gone to 5 if it wasn't for the freaking swamp level. I hate that song, and it makes me feel weird every time. Anyway, Cruelty Squad, very good, very awesome game. I love it. And oh, sorry, I thought someone was at my door. That was weird. All right, here you go. Number 4, Hades. This is the most recent game I've played in the year. So sometimes when I'll play a game recently, I'll notice that my scores are a bit inflated. I don't think that's the case with this game. Like, I honestly think I could be a bit more generous with some of these scores. The graphics, get a 4. They don't get a 5 because sometimes there's a lot of visual clutter on the screen, and that can kind of make it hard to tell, like, when enemies are attacking you and stuff like that, or some movements are a bit maybe too minute. The story could get bumped up to a 5, but I don't know. I don't like 5. I only give stuff a 5 to like things that I like think about like a lot. And this game has a great story, but I'm not like laying awake at night over it, you know. Um, those next 4 categories: gameplay to difficulty. Yeah, it's perfect. Like this game has, it's never the same. Every run is never the same. And I just, it's amazing. Soundtrack, it's a 4. good, but not like amazing. Like I don't listen to these songs like while I'm at work or something like that. But the songs do make the actual gameplay a great experience. So that is Hades. So I should mention Disco Elysium and my next one are tied for second. They got the same score, 4.7. My top three were very hard for me to order. I honestly like could flip them each over. Like they're all like contesting for like favorite games of all time. And Disco Elysium is just a beautiful experience. Um, I will say this: best story, best voice acting I have ever experienced in a game by far. Um, and it's interesting. It is a point and click mystery, like murder mystery game. But like once you beat it and you know how everything ends, you still want to play it because there are different builds you can do. You are like role playing as a detective. There are so many different builds you can do. There's like I swear an infinite number of like voice lines and possibilities that you will just never experience. Like I find it hard that someone knows like every single detail or to believe that someone knows every single detail about this game. It is just like this mystery that I unravel a bit more and more to get like a bigger picture of it every time. That I don't know if I'll ever find, but I will. I love every second discovering something new about this game. Um, it's beautiful. It makes you think. It's a very cerebral game. Um, and I don't like if I don't even think I would change anything about it if I could. Like I would not want to touch it. And the only reason difficulty gets a 4 is because there are some parts there there are basically skill checks in the game that are purely chance. Um and there are some parts that I just really want to pass the skill check, so I'll save scum it, which might just be a player issue. I just need to accept it, but also like my curiosity just I need to see it. So that's why I don't love like completely random skill checks, but I think this game does it super well, so I don't really complain about that. Um I'd like to think this is probably the game on this list that I'd most recommend people to play. Um, Depending on who you are, obviously, but yeah, no, it's beautiful. It is just a beautiful game. Um, yeah, and this is kind of where like the next tier break happens, where these three games are, like I said, actively like all-time favorites. So the next game on my list, the other tie for number 2 is Fallout New Vegas. I am playing copyrighted music right now, so I'm probably gonna have to sing along with some of the lyrics to make it a parody, so it doesn't get taken down. But as you can see, perfect scores across the board, except for graphics. The graphics are a little old. They're definitely a little old looking at some parts, but they're not like gross old. You can still tell what things are. So I gave it a 3. I gave it a 3, and I think that's very fair. The story is amazing. The amount of influence you have on the story is unlike any game I've ever played. You can go to like main integral characters in the game and just kill them. And then the story like goes along like, yeah, no, we can do something about this. Like, I'm like, what? This is amazing. Like, in Fallout 4, where you'll just go to like an important character, and when they're not supposed to die, so they'll just like crouch down and like be invincible for a bit, then get up with more health. This game doesn't have that. You can literally impact the story however you want, and I think that is amazing, and I love it. Um, the gameplay, the shooting sucks. I'll say there are mods you can download, but the shooting does suck. But when I play this game, I'm not like, oh man, I can't shoot my guns without using VAT. I'm like, I'll just use VATs. That's kind of like it's less of like a shooter and more of like a role playing kind of like roll the dice to roll a 19 to land this headshot or something like that. That's kind of the more fun way to play this game. I don't want to play this game as a shooter as much, although I'm sure it would be fun, but I still give it a 5 because I think even with perfect shooting, I don't think that changes it that much. replayability. It's a Fallout game, so you change your perks and all that, and go with different side quests. Like I played this game a lot. Very like, and it's different from the Fallout games. That's why I give it a 5 for freshness. Difficulty is perfect, and the soundtrack, as you're listening to it right now, you have Blue Moon, Ain't That a Kick in the Head, Big Iron, just classics like that you can just listen to all the time. There is the occasional Johnny guitar, which really sucks, but I mean, it is what it is. So yeah, no, this game, best Fallout game by far. Fallout's one of my favorite franchises. It'll get number 2. Would be literally a perfect game if it just looked good, but the problem with games like this is when you want something to look kind of like realistic, like think like Assassin's Creed, it just ages as the technology progresses. Like I remember playing Black Flag and being like, "Whoa, this is the height of graphics." But now I'll look at gameplay and I'll be like, "Ooh, that's not amazing." Games that look realistic like that, almost impossible to get a 5. That's why art style is the way to go, which this game has some of, so that's good. Anyway, and last but not least, we have Pizza Tower for my number 1. As you can see, perfect marks everywhere besides the story. Yeah, just playing this game earlier this year, I knew like the whole time I was playing, I knew I was like, this might be my favorite game. It makes me laugh. And oh, the graphics, it's the best. It's my favorite art style. It might be even better than like Animal Well, because just the way it's animated, everything looks like it's made on MS Paint. But like when you run as Peppino, you can see and feel through like the animation, the sound, the gameplay, you are putting every fiber of your being just to gain like an extra millimeter on every step. And probably my favorite soundtrack of all time. 3 different people worked on it. 2 of them were in my Spotify Rap top 5 artists. Because I listened to it so much, and I don't know. I love this game. Like, I don't know what I would change about it. The story I have at a 4 because I'm not, like I said, I'm not laying awake at night on it, but it's fine where it's at. It's really funny. And you can kind of detect a lot of like certain undertones with this game while you play it. About what maybe the story's about. Maybe about what like Peppino's struggle is about. That I think kind of does make me think at some parts. And like those 4, gameplay all the way to difficulty, those 4 are kind of like pretty related. Yeah, I mean, nothing to complain. There's so much to master in this game. I've played it a lot, and I still haven't P-ranked a level besides the boss fights. I've P-ranked all the boss fights, but getting more than S's on the level is like very difficult, but very fun to pursue. So, yeah, I don't know. Pizza Tower is the perfect game, perfect platformer. It does what Sonic could never do. And what that is it makes it feel like you're going fast without randomly dying because you were going fast. Like, just all of a sudden, an enemy appears on the screen, then you run into it. How are you supposed to react to that? Pizza Tower figures it out. It solved that problem. So, and I could talk about this game all day. And I think it's like $30 on Steam, but I bought it for like 20 when it went on sale. Let's wait for it to go on sale. So, anyway, that's the list. Here's my top 24 games of 2024. And I think I should probably pull up my top games for the my current top games right now. Just see where I'm at. Yeah. Boom. Look at that. Pizza Tower is number 1. I'm going to put this song back on because it's a longer loop. Pizza Tower is number 1. Disco Elysium and Fallout New Vegas are tied. Earthbound still number 4. And Cruelty Squad, Zombies, Hades, Portal 2, Minecraft, and Animal Well. Those round out my top 10, I believe, right? Yep. So that is all I got. And, yeah. Cool.